Throughout cinema history, there have been only a few times when a film has truly redefined a genre. For example, The Godfather. Before it, criminals were just antagonists, driven by greed, violence, power. But The Godfather asked a different question: what if the villain becomes the protagonist? And in doing so, it explored the psyche of a criminal. Then came Star Wars, a film that didn't just tell a story, it built a universe. It turned science fiction into mass entertainment and gave birth to the culture of world building and franchises. Now, I won't say that Dhurandhar completely redefined the spy or espionage genre, but it definitely pushed it towards maturity and gave us grounded storytelling. Because, unlike the flashy, larger than life films like Pathan, Tiger, or War, this film chooses restraint. It stays grounded, intense, and real. It shows us the true essence of a spy, not a superhero, not a showman, but someone like Hamza, silent, calculated, and operating in the shadows. And now, the biggest question is, why did we like Dhurandhar so much? It wasn't because of the action, it wasn't because of the stakes, and it definitely wasn't because of the hero moments. We liked Dhurandhar because it felt real. After watching it for the first time, it felt like a spy isn't a superhero. He is just a man, just like us. He is vulnerable, he is silent, and he is constantly under pressure. Before the horrific incident in his life, Jaskirat was just like us. He had simple dreams to join the army, to earn, and to provide for his family, but fate had other plans for him. He had to sacrifice his life, leaving his mother and sister behind, just to serve his country in silence. And these silent sacrifices hit harder than any loud, over the top emotional scenes. Dhurandhar can easily be seen as the passion project of Aditya Dhar. He literally poured his heart and soul into making this film. I will not say that this film is a directorial masterpiece, but it does everything that we ask a film to do. It makes us laugh, it makes us sad, but most importantly, it involves us in its world. In an age of doom scrolling and short attention spans, Dhurandhar keeps the audience hooked for 3 hours and 30 minutes and even nearly 4 hours in the second part. That clearly shows us that it delivered what it had to deliver. Dhurandhar has the most amazing cast and everyone really pulled out their A game. In this film, to begin with, the first actor whom I want to appreciate and apologize to is Ranveer Singh. Man, what a career defining performance by him. We as an audience can clearly distinguish the changes in the characters of Hamza and Jaskirat. The drastic shift between when he is Hamza and when he becomes Jaskirat is just brilliant. The starting sequence of the first half an hour where we explore the backstory of Jaskirat, Ranveer did it to perfection. I could literally feel the boiling rage inside him when he was mercilessly killing those people in the house, and the sadness in the dialogue when he quietly asked his friend to not bring his mother to the court. That moment just hits different. There are many scenes where actors try to show emotion, but here it never feels forced. Everything feels controlled, and that's what makes it more powerful. But when we talk about Dhurandhar, Ranveer Singh isn't the first actor that comes to our mind. It is actually Akshaye Khanna as Rahman Dakat. When my mom was watching Dhurandhar, she was genuinely surprised that Akshaye Khanna isn't the main character in the film, and that just shows the kind of buzz he has created with his performance. Khanna elevated the film so much that he raised the standard so high for Arjun Rampa's character that it felt kind of underwhelming. Another mention is Sanjay Dutt. He was basically playing himself in the film, and that is exactly what was required. He was genuinely funny with his dialogues, and it was a treat to see what he was doing on screen. I couldn't go on and appreciate all the actors in detail because I don't want to stretch my video like the runtime of Dhurandhar, but I will definitely say this: all the actors were perfectly cast for their roles and they all did a great job. It never feels like they are acting, it feels like they belong to that world. The entire story is divided into 15 chapters, with 8 chapters in part 1 and 7 in part 2. Dhurandhar is a well researched and properly written story which is structured into these 15 chapters. The film takes inspiration from real life incidents but also adds its own creative liberty to include its fictional elements, and because of that, it manages to tell an engaging and well structured story. It never feels confusing and it never feels stretched unnecessarily. It is not confirmed and will never be whether an Indian spy was actually involved in the events of Liari, but this film makes it believable. Aditya Dhar's decision to divide the film into chapters will definitely become a go to idea for long films, as it helps the editor in putting cuts and also gives the audience a clear sense that the story is moving towards a conclusion. Although Dhurandhar might seem like a perfect film, but just like everything else, it also has some flaws. This is a Dhurandhar appreciation video, but that doesn't restrict me to only talk about the good stuff. Where Dhurandhar Part 1 was almost a perfect movie, Part 2 does have some flaws. And these are the flaws that I felt, and I'm not trying to hate on anyone. The antagonist of the film, as I mentioned before, is nowhere near the level of Rahman Dagat. Although he is shown as the mastermind of ISI, he never really feels like a threat. He fails to impose any real challenges for Hamza, and at times he feels more like a puppet. You can't make the audience feel fear for the villain when even his own father doesn't take him seriously. In my opinion, he could have been shown as a much more gruesome villain, especially if he had done something personal to Hamza, like harming his wife or child. Talking about his wife, the reveal around Jamil Jamali was shocking while watching the film, but once the initial impact settles, you start noticing some plot holes. We are told that he has been in Pakistan for 45 years and has deeply infiltrated the system, yet it doesn't really stop any major events from happening. Now, you could argue that it wasn't his job to stop those attacks, but then the question remains, why keep Dawood Ibrahim alive? Even while being half dead, he is still shown as the mastermind behind the attacks, and keeping him alive just for torture doesn't feel like the right decision. I will give credit where it's due. The film does a great job at keeping things gripping, but I won't lie, I did feel a bit exhausted towards the end. The climax battle and the action set pieces felt slightly underwhelming to me. Also, I believe Major Iqbal's death could have hit much harder if it was handled differently. For example, if he was killed by drowning in kerosene, it would have created a strong parallel with his father's death. Although these flaws are clearly visible on the screen, they don't really damage our overall experience of Dhurandhar. Now, before completing my video, I just want to talk about the ending scene of the film, where Jaskirat comes in front of his house. Now, whatever I'm about to say is completely my own interpretation of the scene. We see Jaskirat walking towards his house, seeing his mother and sister after such a long time, and yet he hesitates. He doesn't go to his house directly and talks to them. He just waits there for a few minutes, almost confused, as if he doesn't even know whether he should be there or not, as if he wants his mother to notice him or maybe he doesn't, and then his mother closes the gate. Jaskirat is then seen walking towards the bus stop, but he stops, and with emotional eyes he looks towards the camera, as if he is asking us, what would you do in this situation? Would you suddenly appear after 23 years, or would you just keep on living like a dead man? That one scene turns a spy thriller into something deeply emotional, and just like I said before, this movie connects with us because it feels real. Overall, a peak film by Aditya Dhar. Thanks for watching.